The Cambridge Analytica scandal is what most people remember first. In 2018, the world learned that data from up to 87 million Facebook profiles had been harvested without permission. Here's what made it so disturbing. A researcher named Alexander Kogan built an app called This Is Your Digital Life that asked users personality questions. Harmless enough, except the app didn't just collect data from people who took the quiz, it collected data from everyone on their friends list. Most of those 87 million people never touched the app, never consented, and had no idea their data was being used to build psychological profiles for political campaigns. The whole thing came out because of a guy named Christopher Wiley, pink hair, art school background, ex-Cambridge Analytica employee who walked into a London newspaper office and blew the whole operation open. Cambridge Analytica had sold those profiles to Ted Cruz and Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaigns. Facebook eventually paid a $5 billion fine to the FTC. Then shareholders sued the board, arguing they'd overpaid the FTC just to shield Zuckerberg from personal liability. That trial actually started in July 2025. It got halted after the first day. In November, Meta's directors agreed to settle for $190 million, paid by insurance, not Zuckerberg's pocket. Shareholders had been seeking $8 billion. They recovered 3%. And Cambridge Analytica was just a warm-up. Mark Zuckerberg has dumped over $83 billion into Reality Labs, Meta's metaverse division. $83 billion. Since the start of 2024, the division has bled over $4 billion every single quarter. In 2025 alone, Reality Labs lost $19.2 billion while the rest of Meta printed money. First quarter 2026 earnings dropped a few days ago. Reality Labs lost another $4 billion. Total revenue, $402 million. Then there's the avatars. When Horizon Worlds launched, the avatars didn't have legs. Zuckerberg had to literally announce a future update where avatars would get legs. The internet did what the internet does, and the layoffs. In January 2026, Meta cut roughly 1,500 Reality Labs employees, 10% of the division. Then in March, Meta announced it was shutting Horizon Worlds down on Quest entirely, killed by June 15th. That decision lasted 48 hours. After a single fan posted on Instagram saying they were heartbroken, Meta's CTO Andrew Bosworth went on Instagram stories, not a press release, not a blog post, Instagram stories, and reversed the decision. The shutdown of an $83 billion product undone by an Instagram comment thread, $83 billion for legless avatars and a strategy that gets reversed in 2 days because one person was sad. In 2021, former Facebook employee Frances Haugen leaked tens of thousands of internal documents to the SEC and the Wall Street Journal. The documents revealed something genuinely disturbing. Meta's own research showed that 32% of teen girls said Instagram made them feel worse about their bodies. And here's the line from Meta's own internal report, quote, "We make body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls." They knew. They had it in writing. They kept the algorithm running anyway. The leaked files also exposed something called X-Check or cross-check. It was a separate moderation tier just for high-profile users, celebrities, politicians, athletes. While normal users got hit with the standard rules, X-Check members got reviewed differently, more leniently, sometimes not at all. Meta had built 2 Facebooks, one for the public and one for people who could embarrass them publicly. 8 separate SEC complaints were filed off the leak. Drug cartels operating openly, human trafficking, vaccine misinformation. The pattern keeps showing up, like in Ethiopia. During Ethiopia's Tigray War, from November 2020 to November 2022, Facebook posts identifying ethnic Tigrayans got people killed. A chemistry professor named Mireg Amare was one of them. Posts on Facebook included his name, his photo, his workplace, and his home address. They falsely accused him of being part of a militant group. His son Abram spent hours messaging Facebook moderators to take the posts down. Nothing happened. Days later, his father was shot outside his own home. Armed militants then prevented his family from helping him. He died in the street. Here's the part that should end any debate. By late 2021, Meta could moderate content in just 3 of Ethiopia's 85 native languages. The whole country was being moderated by 25 people. And that's just general content moderation. For misinformation specifically, like the posts that named Mireg Amare, Meta partnered with 2 fact-checking organizations. Combined, they had 5 employees. For Ethiopia's 7 million Facebook users, 600,000 people died in that conflict. And Ethiopia wasn't the first time. In November 2025, court filings revealed that Instagram's former head of safety, Vaishnavi Jayakumar, testified under oath about a policy she discovered when she joined Meta in 2020. Quote, "You could incur 16 violations for prostitution and sexual solicitation, and upon the 17th violation, your account would be suspended." Read that again. 16 violations for sex trafficking. The 17th got you suspended. Jayakumar called it, quote, "a very, very high strike threshold by any measure across the industry." That was Meta's policy. Internal documentation backs her up. Remember when Facebook rebranded to Meta in October 2021? That timing wasn't a coincidence. Frances Haugen's testimony had just destroyed Facebook's reputation. The company needed a new name and a new direction. Fast. The public wasn't fooled. A Morning Consult survey found that 51% of Americans believed Meta rebranded specifically to distance itself from negative press, not change, just escape. Then 4 months later, Zuckerberg gathered the company for an all-hands meeting and unveiled the MetaMates. His actual phrasing in the company memo was, quote, "Meta, MetaMates, me." That was the new internal motto, Meta, MetaMates, me. Employees were instructed in writing to refer to each other as MetaMates. The best part? The word MetaMates was reportedly coined by Douglas Hofstadter, the 75-year-old physicist and Pulitzer Prize-winning author of Gödel, Escher, Bach, after a Meta employee cold emailed him for ideas. He suggested it. They used it. The internet did not let it go. That rebrand now looks like one of the worst in corporate history, but it's not the worst thing Meta did. In Myanmar, Facebook didn't just fail, it actively contributed to a genocide. Here's what most people don't realize. In Myanmar, Facebook wasn't a social network, it was the internet. Through a program called Free Basics, Meta gave the platform away for free as basically the only way most Burmese people could access the web. So when anti-Rohingya hate started spreading, it didn't just spread, it dominated. The Myanmar military and nationalist monks used Facebook to spread slurs comparing Rohingya Muslims to animals and invaders. The platform's algorithm amplified the most engaging, meaning the most inflammatory, our content. UN investigators later concluded that Facebook played a, quote, determining role in the violence. In 2017, the Myanmar military launched what it called a clearance operation. At least 6,700 Rohingya were killed in just the first month. Some estimates put the total above 10,000. 740,000 were driven into Bangladesh, where most of them still live in refugee camps today. And here's what makes it worse. Civil society groups and human rights organizations had been warning Meta about Myanmar since 2012. 5 years of warnings. Meta executives told shareholders during those exact years that Facebook's algorithms didn't cause polarization. They knew, they lied, and people died. Rohingya refugees filed a $150 billion class action lawsuit against Meta in 2021. A U.S. court dismissed it in 2024 on a statute of limitations technicality. The dismissal was upheld again last week. Meta has not paid $1.